Disclaimer.
I died, and God showed me I was destroying her.
My name is Marcus Williams. I am 37 years old. I died for 11 minutes on March 14, 2024 in Atlanta, Georgia.
I thought I was protecting my marriage. I thought I was being a leader, a provider, a man who carried the weight so my wife would not have to. But the truth, before I begin, please subscribe so more people can hear testimonies like this. The truth I could not see until it was almost too late was that I was not protecting her. I was protecting myself from being known, from being vulnerable, from being seen as anything less than the man I thought I needed to be. Let me take you back to the beginning. Not the beginning of my marriage, but the beginning of the lie I told myself every single day for 12 years. I grew up in a house where my father ran everything. He made the money. He made the decisions. He controlled the checkbook, the bills, the future. My mother learned early on that asking questions only led to arguments, and arguments led to days of cold silence that froze the whole house. So she stopped asking. She stopped trying. And my father, he called that respect. I watched her my entire childhood, watched her shrink, watched him expand, and I swore on everything. I would never be that kind of man. But somewhere between paying off my student loans and climbing the corporate ladder and trying to prove to myself that I was different, I became him. Tanya and I met when I was 25. She was 23, beautiful, smart, had a laugh that could pull you out of the darkest mood. We got married 2 years later in a little church in Decatur, and I meant every word of those vows. I stood there in that rented tuxedo, held her hands, and promised to honor her. Cherish her. Forsake all others. I believed it. God knows I believed it. But what I did not realize was that forsaking all others does not just mean other women. It means forsaking the version of yourself that wants to live like you are still single. The version that does not want to share control. The version that would rather build walls than bridges. The first few years were good. We were broke, but we were together. We made decisions side by side, laughed about overdraft fees, planned our future on napkins at IHOP. But then I got promoted. Then again. Suddenly I was making real money. Suddenly I was the one paying all the bills. And somewhere in that shift, I stopped asking her opinion. I stopped including her in the decisions. I told myself it was because I did not want to stress her out. I told myself she had enough on her plate. I told myself I was being a good husband by handling everything alone. I was lying. The truth was, I liked the control. I liked being the one who knew where every dollar went. I liked the feeling of being needed but not known. I could be her hero without ever letting her see my fears, my doubts, my mistakes. I could keep her at a safe distance and call it protection. By the time we hit year 8, we were living in a beautiful house in Buckhead. 2 cars, good jobs. From the outside, we looked like we had it all together. But inside that house, we were strangers. I would come home late. She would ask how my day was. I would give her 3 words and turn on the TV. She would try to talk about bills, about plans, about anything that mattered, and I would shut it down. Not cruelly, not loudly, just coldly. I had perfected the art of ending conversations without ever raising my voice. And Tanya, she tried. God, she tried. She would sit next to me on the couch and ask if we could talk. Really talk. And I would tell her I was tired. I would tell her we would talk later. Later never came. She would bring up money, ask why we were not saving more, ask if we could sit down and go over the budget together. And I would smile, pat her hand, tell her not to worry, tell her I had it handled. Like she was a child asking about grown-up things. She stopped asking after a while. I told myself that meant everything was fine. It was not fine. The morning of March 14th, 2024, started like every other morning. I woke up at 5:30, made coffee, checked my phone. Tanya came into the kitchen around 6:15, still in her robe, hair tied up, eyes tired. She poured herself a cup of coffee and sat across from me at the table. I did not look up. I was scrolling through emails, responding to my boss, putting out fires before the day even started. She cleared her throat. I kept scrolling. Marcus. I glanced up. Yeah. She hesitated. I could see it in her face. That look she got when she was trying to decide if it was worth it. if I was going to listen or dismiss her. She took a breath. I need to talk to you about something. I set my phone down. Barely. Okay. I was going through the mail yesterday, and she paused. Her hands were wrapped around her coffee mug like she was trying to hold on to something solid. I found a bank statement for an account I did not know we had. My chest tightened, not from pain, from panic. I kept my face neutral, calm, controlled. Oh, yeah, that is a savings account I opened a while back. A while back. Her voice was quiet, too quiet. Marcus, this statement says the account has been open for 3 years. I shrugged. Try to play it off. I was going to tell you. I wanted it to be a surprise. You know, something for us down the road. She stared at me, and I saw it. The moment she stopped believing me. A surprise. She repeated the words slowly, like she was tasting them, testing them. For 3 years. Tanya, it is not a big deal. It is our money. I'm not hiding anything. Then why did not I know about it? I felt the defensiveness rising in my chest like heat. Because I handle the finances. I always have. That is how we do things. No, her voice cracked. That is how you do things. I've been asking you for years to let me in. To let me see the accounts. To sit down with me and go over everything together. And every single time, you shut me down. I did not shut you down. I handle it, so you do not have to worry. I am your wife, Marcus. Tears were building in her eyes now. Not your dependent. Not your child. Your wife. We're supposed to be partners. But you treat me like I am some outsider who does not get to know what is happening in my own marriage. That is not fair. It is not fair. She stood up. Her hands were shaking. You have been making decisions for both of us for years. Without asking me. Without telling me. And I am supposed to just, what? Trust you? How can I trust someone who does not trust me? I do trust you. No, you do not. The tears spilled over. You do not trust me with the money. You do not trust me with your feelings. You do not trust me with anything that actually matters. And I have spent 12 years trying to prove to you that I am safe, that I am on your side, that I am not your enemy. But you, her voice broke completely. You have already decided I am. I stood up too. My pulse was pounding in my ears. You are being dramatic. It is a savings account. That is it. It is not about the account. She shouted it. Tanya never shouted. It is about the fact that you have been lying to me. Not with words, but with silence, with secrets, with walls you keep building higher and higher until I cannot even see you anymore. I am right here. No, you are not. She wiped her face with the back of her hand. You have not been here for years. Something in my chest twisted. Tight. Painful. But I pushed it down. I always pushed it down. I am done having this conversation, I said. My voice was cold, controlled, final. Of course you are. She laughed. But it was not a real laugh. It was hollow, broken. Because that is what you do. You shut down. You walk away. You make me feel crazy for wanting to actually know my own husband. I'm not doing this right now. Then when, Marcus? When are we going to do this? When are you finally going to let me in? I said I am done. I turned to walk out of the kitchen. And that is when she said it. The thing I had been avoiding for years. The thing I knew was true, but refused to admit. You are just like your father. I froze, turned around, and the look on my face must have scared her because she took a step back. Do not, I said. My voice was shaking now. Do not compare me to him. Then stop acting like him. Her voice was softer now, pleading. Please, Marcus. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to reach you. But you will not let me. And I do not. I do not know how much longer I can keep doing this. The pain in my chest came fast, sharp, like something inside me cracked. I tried to take a breath, but it would not come. My vision blurred. The room tilted. Marcus! I grabbed the counter. My hand slipped. I stumbled. Marcus! Her voice sounded far away, muffled. I tried to speak, but my throat closed. The pain exploded. My chest, my arm, my jaw. It felt like my ribs were being crushed from the inside. I fell, hit the floor hard, heard Tanya scream, felt her hands on my face. Stay with me. Stay with me. Oh God, please. Her voice cracked, broke. I tried to hold her hand, but I could not move, could not breathe. The ceiling above me started to fade. The lights dimmed, and then I was not on the floor anymore. I was above it, floating, watching. I saw my body lying there. Saw Tanya on her knees beside me, her phone pressed to her ear, her other hand on my chest. Saw her sobbing, shaking, begging me not to leave her. I tried to reach for her, but I could not. The room grew darker, quieter. My heartbeat echoed once, twice, then silence. Heavy, suffocating, final. And then I felt it. A pull, not from the room, from somewhere else, somewhere beyond. A light opened in front of me, warm, bright, terrifying, and I stepped toward it, not because I wanted to, but because I had no choice. And in that moment, as the light swallowed me whole, I realized something. I was about to be seen, really seen, for the first time in my entire life, and there was nowhere left to hide. The light consumed me, not gently, not like the movies where everything fades to white and you feel peaceful. This was different. This was inevitable, like being pulled by a current you cannot fight. I was not floating anymore. I was standing. My feet were on something solid, and when my eyes adjusted to the brightness, I realized where I was. I was in a courtroom, but not like any courtroom I had ever seen. The walls were not walls. They were light. Pure, blinding, but somehow I could see through it. The floor beneath my feet was glass. Polished, transparent, and beneath that glass fire, slow-moving flames that flickered and rolled like waves. Patient, waiting. The air itself felt heavy, thick, like the weight of every choice I had ever made was pressing down on my chest all at once. I tried to move, tried to take a step, but my legs would not obey. I was frozen, not by force, but by the presence of something, someone I could not see but could feel watching me. And it was not angry. That is what terrified me. It was not angry. It was just true. And truth, when you have been running from it your entire life, feels like standing naked in front of the sun. I opened my mouth to speak, to ask where I was, to demand answers, but no sound came out. My voice was gone. And then the scrolls appeared. They materialized out of nowhere, golden, glowing, hovering in midair in front of me. One by one they began to unroll. Slowly, deliberately, the script on them burned with light. I could not read the words, but somehow I knew they were reading me. Every thought, every motive, every secret I had kept buried. I felt exposed, seen, known in a way I had never been known before. I wanted to run. I wanted to hide. I wanted to close my eyes and make it all stop. But I could not move, could not look away. The scrolls kept unrolling, kept revealing. And then the book appeared. It was massive, ancient, thick and bound in something that looked like light woven into leather. It hovered to my right, suspended in the air, and across the cover, my name, Marcus Deshaun Williams, written in letters that pulsed like a heartbeat, like they were alive. The book opened on its own. The pages turned without hands, slowly, one after another. And I knew, God help me, I knew this was the record of my life. My choices, my covenant, my wedding vows echoed in the silence. Not from speakers, not from a recording, but from the air itself, from the light, from the very atmosphere of that place. I, Marcus, take you, Tanya, to be my lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, forsaking all others, until death do us part. I heard my own voice, young, confident, full of hope. I remember that day. Remembered standing in that little church in Decatur. Remembered holding Tanya's hands. Remembered meaning every word. But hearing it now, in this place, it did not sound like a romantic promise. It sounded like a sacred vow, a covenant made before the God who designed marriage in his own image. And I had broken it, not with another woman, not with betrayal in the way most people think of betrayal, but with silence, with secrecy, with walls I had built so high that the woman I vowed to cherish could not reach me anymore. The pages of the book kept turning, and then the scenes began. They were not still images. They were alive, moving, breathing, like I was watching my life play out in front of me on a screen I could not pause or rewind or turn off. The first scene was my wedding day. Tanya in white, her eyes shining, her smile so full of trust, and me, young, confident, certain I would never be like my father. Certain I would be different, better, the kind of husband she deserved. The scene should have ended there, but it did not. It kept going. The pages turned faster, and I saw what came next. I saw the first time I opened a bank account without telling her. 3 years into our marriage, I was sitting at a desk in a small branch office. The banker was smiling, congratulating me on being financially responsible, and I remember the thought I had in that moment. Clear as day. I thought, this is mine. She does not need to know about this. I will surprise her later. But later never came, because the surprise was never the point. The control was. I saw another scene. 5 years in, I had just been offered a promotion. More money, more responsibility, but also more hours, more travel. Tanya had sat me down at the kitchen table and said, "Baby, I am proud of you, but I need you here. We are barely seeing each other as it is." And I had smiled, kissed her forehead, and turned the promotion down, but not because I agreed with her, because I was angry, because I felt controlled, because her concern felt like criticism. So I turned it down and resented her for it, punished her with cold silence for weeks, made her feel guilty for caring. The book kept turning, kept revealing. I saw scene after scene of me making decisions alone. Big decisions, life-altering decisions. Buying a car without asking her opinion, changing our insurance, moving retirement money, opening investment accounts, always with the same justification. I am handling it. I am protecting her. She does not need to be stressed. But the truth I cannot admit then, but saw so clearly now, was that I did not want to share control. I did not want her input. I did not want to risk being questioned or challenged or seen as anything less than the man who had it all together. I saw nights she tried to talk to me, really talk, sitting next to me on the couch, turning off the TV, saying, "Marcus, can we please just sit down and go over the finances together? I feel like I do not even know what is happening in our own life." And I saw my response, the condescending smile, the patronizing tone. "Baby, I got it handled. Do not worry about it. That is my job." And I saw her face, the hurt, the frustration, the slow, painful realization that I was not going to let her in. I saw her stop asking, and I saw myself believe that meant everything was fine. The pages turned again, and this time I saw something I had never seen before. The book showed me Tanya, alone, in moments I was not there for. I saw her crying in our bedroom, late at night, after I had fallen asleep on the couch watching SportsCenter. I saw her on her knees beside the bed, praying, her hands clasped, her face wet with tears, and I heard her voice, broken, desperate. "God, please, please help him see me. I do not know what I'm doing wrong. I do not know how to reach him. I feel like I am losing him, like he is already gone. Please bring him back." I had never known, never seen, never asked. I had been so focused on building my fortress that I never noticed the woman I vowed to cherish was drowning right in front of me. The book turned to another page, a journal. Her handwriting, entries I had never read because I never thought to look. I do not know how much longer I can do this. I love him. I do. But loving someone who will not let you know them is the loneliest thing in the world. I feel like I am married to a stranger. The words hit me like stones, each one heavier than the last. I wanted to look away, to close the book, to make it stop, but I could not, because this was the truth I had been too proud, too afraid, too controlled to see. And then the scene changed. The book showed me the morning of March 14th, the argument. But I was not seeing it from my perspective anymore. I was seeing it from hers. I saw the bank statement in her hands, saw the moment she found it, saw the confusion on her face, the hurt, the betrayal, not because I had cheated, but because for 3 years I had been living like a single man in a married man's house. I saw her sit at the kitchen table that morning, trying to decide whether to bring it up, trying to decide if it was worth the fight, trying to decide if I would finally be honest or if I would gaslight her again, make her feel crazy for noticing. And I saw her choose to try, one more time, because she still loved me, even after everything. She still believed we could be saved. And I saw my response. Cold, defensive, dismissive, cruel. I saw her face when I compared her to my father. Saw the way she flinched, like I had slapped her. And I saw the moment my chest seized. Saw myself fall. Saw the terror in her eyes. Heard her scream my name. The book stopped turning. The courtroom went silent. And I stood there on that glass floor above the fire, fully aware of what I had done. Not in one moment, but in 1,000 small moments over 12 years. I had broken trust, not with lies, but with silence. Not with betrayal, but with control. I had destroyed intimacy brick by brick and called it leadership. The fire beneath the glass seemed closer now, hotter, and I understood. This was not a threat. It was a mirror, showing me the weight of the covenant violated, showing me what was at stake. And then the presence I had felt watching me spoke. The voice was not loud. It did not shout. It did not echo, but it filled every corner of that courtroom, filled my chest, my lungs, my soul. I did not see a face, but I knew without question. It was Jesus. You made a vow before me, Marcus. The words were calm, steady, but they hit me like a freight train. My knees buckled. I fell, hit the glass floor hard. The fire beneath me seemed to pulse, react. I could feel the heat rising through the surface. Did you think I would not remember? I opened my mouth to answer, to explain, to defend myself, but nothing came out. What could I say? What excuse could I possibly offer to the one who had seen every moment, every motive, every silent act of selfishness I had convinced myself was sacrifice? The pages of the book turned again, faster now, scene after scene. Every time I shut Tanya out, every time I made a decision without her, every time I treated her like a child instead of partner, every time I punished her with silence for daring to want to know me. And beneath each scene, words appeared, glowing, burning into the page. Broken trust, broken covenant, broken vow. I could not breathe, could not think. The weight of it all was crushing me. I had spent 12 years believing I was doing the right thing, believing I was protecting her, providing for her, leading her. But I had not been leading. I had been controlling. And there is a difference I was only now beginning to understand. The voice spoke again. Trust is the foundation of covenant. Marcus. I looked up. Still no face. Just light. Just presence. Just truth so pure it burned. Without it, there is no union. Only two strangers under one roof. The words broke something inside me. Because that is exactly what we had become. Strangers. Living in the same house. Sleeping in the same bed. Going through the motions of marriage while the actual intimacy, the knowing and being known, had died years ago. And I had killed it, not with one big betrayal, but with 1,000 small acts of cowardice disguised as strength. I saw it so clearly now. Tanya was never trying to control me. She was trying to love me, trying to be my partner, trying to walk beside me instead of behind me. And I had pushed her away, over and over and over, because being vulnerable felt like weakness. Because letting her see my fears, my doubts, my humanity felt like losing respect. So I stayed hidden, stayed controlled, stayed safe. And I called it protection. The book turned to a new page. And this time, I saw something that made my heart stop. I saw Tanya, right now, in real time. She was in a hospital room, kneeling beside a bed. My bed. My body was lying there. Tubes, wires, machines beeping. And she was holding my hand. Her face was swollen from crying. Her eyes were red. Her voice was hoarse. And she was praying, "Please, God, please do not take him. I know we have been broken. I know we have been lost. But please give us another chance. I still love him. I still believe we can be saved. Please bring him back." Tears streamed down her face. Her shoulders shook. And even after everything, even after all the walls I had built, even after all the ways I had hurt her, she was still fighting for me, still praying for me, still believing in us. I fell forward, pressed my forehead to the glass floor, and, for the first time in years, I wept. Not controlled tears, not the kind of tears you let someone see to prove you were sensitive, but raw, ugly, desperate tears, the kind that come from the deepest part of your soul when you finally see the truth about yourself, and it breaks you completely. "I am sorry," I whispered. My voice cracked, shattered. "I am so sorry. I did not see. I did not know. I thought. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was protecting her. But I was not. I was protecting myself. I was afraid. Afraid of being known. Afraid of being vulnerable. Afraid of being anything less than perfect. And I punished her for it. I punished her for loving me. For wanting me. For trying to reach me. The sobs came harder. My chest heaved. I could not stop. Could not control it. And maybe that was the point. Maybe for the first time in my life, I was not supposed to be in control. The voice spoke again. Softer now, but no less powerful. She's still praying for you. Even now, even after everything. I looked up through blurred vision. The book was still open, still showing Tanya kneeling beside my body, still showing her fighting for a marriage I had nearly destroyed. Will you finally let her in? The question hung in the air. Heavy, sacred. The answer seemed so simple, so obvious. Yes, of course. But I knew it was not that easy. Letting her in meant tearing down every wall I'd spent years building. It meant being vulnerable, being honest, being seen. It meant admitting I did not have it all together. It meant sharing control. It meant trusting her the way I'd been asking her to trust me. It meant becoming the man I vowed to be 12 years ago. The fire beneath the glass began to rise. Closer, hotter, not to consume me, but to show me this is what is at stake. Not just my marriage, my soul, my covenant, my eternity. I saw it all so clearly now. Saw how close I had come to losing everything that mattered. Saw how much grace I had been given, how much mercy, how many chances. And I saw that I was being given one more. The voice spoke one final time. You still have time, Marcus. But time does not wait forever. The courtroom began to fade. The light grew dimmer. The glass beneath me started to crack. Not breaking, just releasing. I felt the pull again. But this time it was not pulling me forward. It was pulling me back. Back toward my body. Back toward life. Back toward Tanya. Please, I gasped. My voice desperate. Pleading. Let me go back. Let me fix this. Let me be the man I should have been. Please. The light flashed. Bright. Blinding. And then darkness. Complete. Total. Suffocating darkness. And then pain. Sharp. Violent. Unbearable pain exploding in my chest like someone had driven a knife between my ribs and twisted. I gasped. Choked. My lungs burned. My body convulsed. I heard shouting. Felt hands pressing down hard on my chest. Machines beeping. Alarms blaring. Voices yelling medical terms I did not understand. We have got a pulse. He is back. Somebody get his wife. I tried to open my eyes, but the lights were too bright. Blinding white hospital lights that burned through my eyelids. I tried to speak, but there was something in my throat. A tube. I gagged. Panicked. Hands held me down. Marcus, do not move. Do not try to talk. You are okay. You are in the hospital. You are okay. But I was not okay. Nothing was okay. I had just been in a courtroom made of light. I had just seen my entire life laid bare. I had just been confronted by the voice of God. And now I was back. Back in my body. Back in this world. Back with a chance I did not deserve. The tube was removed. I coughed. Gasped for air. My throat felt like sandpaper. My chest ached with every breath. And then I heard her voice. Marcus. I forced my eyes open. Squinted against the light. And there she was. Tanya. Her face hovering above mine. Her eyes red and swollen. Her cheeks wet with tears. Her hand gripping mine so tight it hurt. She looked exhausted, terrified, relieved, broken, hopeful, all at once. I tried to speak. My voice came out as a rasp, barely audible. I am sorry. She shook her head. Fresh tears spilled over. Do not talk. Just rest. No, I squeezed her hand. Weak, but intentional. I need to say this. She leaned closer. Her face inches from mine. Listening. Waiting. I'm sorry, I whispered again. And this time the tears came. Not the controlled kind. The real kind. The kind that had been building for 12 years. I am so sorry. For everything. For the walls. For the secrets. For shutting you out. For treating you like you were not my partner. You were right. About all of it. I was just like my father. And I did not even see it. Her lips trembled. She bit down hard, trying to hold it together. But she could not. She broke, sobbed, pressed her forehead against my hand. I thought I lost you, she whispered. I thought you were gone. I said, my voice cracking. I was gone, but I came back. And I need you to know, I saw everything. Why I've been doing. And I am done. I am done hiding. I am done controlling. I am done pretending I've got it all together. I need you. I need you to know me, the real me, all of me. I did not want to live like strangers anymore. She lifted her head, looked at me through tears, searching my face, trying to decide if I meant it, trying to decide if this was real or if it was just fear talking. And I understood. I had made promises before, promises I did not keep. Why should you believe me now? I know you do not have any reason to trust me, I said. I know I've got to prove it, and I will, however long it takes, whatever it takes. I will tear down every wall. I will open every door. I will let you in, all the way in, because you're my wife, my partner, my covenant, and I have been treating you like you were lucky to be with me, when the truth is, I am the one who does not deserve you. She closed her eyes. More tears fell, and then she nodded. Just once. Small, almost imperceptible, but it was there. Okay, she whispered. Okay. And in that moment, lying in that hospital bed, with machines beeping around me and my chest still aching from being brought back to life, I made a new vow, not out loud, not in front of witnesses, but before God, the same God who had just shown me the weight of the covenant, the same God who had given me a chance I did not deserve. I vowed to be the man I should have been all along, not perfect, but present, not in control, but in partnership, not hiding behind walls, but standing in the light, with her. Finally, if you're still here, thank you. Please subscribe if you want more testimonies like this. I spent 3 days in that hospital, 3 days of tests and monitoring and doctors telling me how lucky I was to be alive. Lucky, that is the word they kept using. But I did not feel lucky. I felt broken, exposed, like every defense I had built over the years had been stripped away, and I was standing there with nothing left to hide behind. Tanya never left my side. She slept in that stiff hospital chair, ate terrible cafeteria food, held my hand through the night when the fear crept in, and I wondered if my heart would just stop again. And the whole time, I kept thinking about what I had seen. The courtroom, the book, the fire, the voice. It was not fading like a dream. It was getting clearer, more real, like it had been burned into my soul. On the second night, when the nurses had finished their rounds and the room was dim and quiet, I finally told her. I need to tell you what happened, I said. My voice was still rough. My chest still ached with every deep breath. When I died, she looked up from her phone. Her eyes were tired, guarded. You do not have to talk about that right now. Yes. Ido. She set her phone down, pulled the chair closer to my bed, folded her hands in her lap. Waiting, I told her everything. The courtroom, the glass floor, the fire underneath, the scrolls, the book with my name on it. The scenes of our marriage playing out in the light. Her prayers I had never known about. Her journal entries I had never read. The voice. Jesus. The 3 things he said to me. And the final question. Will you finally let her in? She did not interrupt. Did not question. Just listened. And when I finished, she was quiet for a long time. I could see her processing, trying to decide what to believe, trying to decide if this was real or just a trauma talking. I do not know if I believe in all that, she said finally. Her voice was soft, careful, but I believe something happened to you. I can see it. You are different. I am, I said, and I know I do not have any right to ask you to trust me. Not after everything, but I'm asking you to let me prove it. Not with words, with action, with time, with everything I should have been doing all along. She nodded slowly, her eyes filling with tears again. Okay. I want to show you everything, I said. Every account, every statement, every password, every decision. I do not want any more secrets. I do not want any more walls. I want you to see all of it. And I want us to make decisions together, like we should have been doing from the beginning. Her lips trembled. She bit down, trying to hold it together. You really mean that? Ido. She reached out, took my hand, squeezed it. Then we will start there. When they finally discharged me, it felt strange going home. The house looked the same. Same furniture. Same pictures on the walls. Same kitchen where I had collapsed 4 days earlier. But everything felt different. Heavier. Like the walls themselves remembered what had happened. Tanya helped me inside. Made sure I took my medications. Got me settled on the couch. And then she stood there in the middle of the living room, arms crossed, looking at me like she was still deciding whether to stay or go. "What do you need?" she asked. "I need you to sit with me." She hesitated, then sat. Not close, but not far either. Just there. "Tomorrow," I said, "I want us to go through everything. All the accounts, all the finances, everything I have been keeping from you. I want you to see it all. And I want us to make a plan. Together." She looked at me for a long moment, searching my face. "You have said things like this before. I know. You have made promises before. I know. So why should I believe you this time?" It was a fair question. The most fair question she could have asked. I did not have a good answer. Not one that would satisfy years of broken trust. So I told her the only truth I had. "You should not," I said. "Not yet. But I'm asking you to give me the chance to earn it back. However long it takes." She looked down at her hands, at her wedding ring, the one I had put on her finger 12 years ago when I made promises I did not understand the weight of. She twisted it slowly, thinking, and as she looked back up at me, "I'm going to need you to go to counseling with me." "Okay." Real counseling. Not just one session to say we tried. Real, consistent, show up every week counseling. "Okay. And I need you to know, I am angry. I am hurt. And I do not know how long it is going to take me to trust you again. I know, but I still love you." Her voice cracked. "And I still want to fight for this. I am just tired of fighting alone." I reached for her hand. She let me take it. "You will not have to anymore." The next morning, we sat at the kitchen table. The same table where we had argued. The same table where everything had fallen apart. But this time, I came with everything. Laptop, statements, account information, passwords written on a piece of paper. All of it. I laid it out in front of her like I was surrendering weapons. "This is everything," I said. "Checking, savings, the investment account you found, my 401k, the life insurance, credit cards, all of it. I want you to see the balances, the transactions, where the money is going, why I've been doing." She looked at the pile of paper, at the laptop screen, and I saw something in her face I had not seen in years. Not relief, not quite trust, but hope. Fragile, tentative, like a small light trying to push through the dark. We went through it together, line by line. She asked questions I used to shut down. "How much do we have saved? Why did you move money here? What is this charge?" And I answered, fully, honestly, no defensiveness, no condescension, just truth. It took hours. And by the end, she was quiet, staring at the numbers, processing. "We are in better shape than I thought," she said finally. "We are. But you should have told me. We could have been planning this together, making decisions together." "I know." She looked at me. "Why did you not?" It was the question I had been avoiding. The one I did not want to answer because it meant admitting the ugliest truth about myself. But I owed her honesty, real honesty. "Because I was scared," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "Scared that if you saw my mistakes, my fears, my weaknesses, you would lose respect for me. And I needed to be respected more than I needed to be known. So I hid, and I told myself I was protecting you. But I was protecting me." She did not say anything. Just let the words sit there between us. "And I am sorry," I continued. "I am so sorry. You deserve better. You deserve a partner. And I gave you a dictator." A tear rolled down her cheek. She wiped it away quickly. "I just wanted you to let me in. I know. I just wanted to be part of your life, not just living in it." "I know." She took a shaky breath. "We need help. We cannot do this on our own." "I agree. I already looked up a few counselors. Christian counselors. I want us to go together." She looked surprised. You looked them up?" "I did. You always said we did not need counseling." "I was wrong." She stared at me, and I saw it again. That fragile hope. Growing. Just a little. "Okay," she said. "Let us call them." We found a counselor the following week. Dr. Raymond. An older black man who had been married 43 years and did not take any nonsense. Our first session was brutal. He did not let me hide. did not let me use charm or deflection. He asked hard questions, made me sit in uncomfortable silence, made me name the patterns I had been avoiding. You grew up watching your father control your mother through secrecy, he said, and you swore you would never be like him. But you became him anyway. Why? I did not have an answer. Because you never dealt with what you saw, he continued. You just decided to do it differently. But control is control, whether it is loud or quiet, whether it is through anger or through withholding. It is still control, and control kills intimacy. I sat there, feeling the weight of those words. Tanya was beside me, silent, listening. So what do? I asked. You learn to be vulnerable, really vulnerable. Not the kind where you cry at a movie and call emotional. The kind where you let her see your fears, your failures, your humanity, and you trust that she will not weaponize it. I looked at Tanya. She looked back, and I realized I had never trusted her. Not really. I had trusted her to stay, to support me, to play the role, but I had never trusted her with the real me. Can you do that? Dr. Raymond asked. I did not know, but I wanted to try. Yes, I said. He nodded. Then, that is where we start. The months that followed were the hardest of my life. Harder than building my career. Harder than recovering from the heart attack. Because this required something I had never learned how to do. It required me to be weak, to be uncertain, to be human in front of another human and trust that I would not be rejected for it. Counseling became our weekly rhythm. Every Thursday at 6 p.m. No excuses. No cancelations. We showed up, even when it was hard, even when we did not want to. We showed up, and slowly, things started to shift. I learned that leadership in marriage is not about making all the decisions. It is about making decisions together. I learned that Tanya did not need me to be perfect. She needed me to be present. I learned that vulnerability is not weakness. It is the foundation of intimacy. And I learned that trust is not rebuilt in one moment. It is rebuilt in 1,000 small moments over time. There were setbacks, moments where I reverted to old patterns, moments where I made a decision without asking her and had to catch myself and apologize, moments where she pulled back because the hurt was still too fresh and she needed space. But we kept going, kept showing up, kept choosing each other even when it was hard. We started praying together, something we had not done in years. At first it was awkward, forced, but over time it became natural, a rhythm, a way of inviting God into the center of our marriage instead of keeping him on the sidelines. I joined a men's group at church, started opening up about my struggles, about control, about fear, about the walls I had built, and I found out I was not alone. So many men sitting in that circle had the same struggles, the same patterns, the same fears. We started holding each other accountable, challenging each other, praying for each other. 6 months after my heart attack, Tanya and I were sitting on the back porch one evening. The sun was setting. The air was warm. And she turned to me and said something that broke me in the best way. I feel like I know you now, she said. For the first time in years. I feel like I actually know you. I looked at her. This woman who had prayed for me when I did not deserve it. Who had stayed when she had every reason to leave. Who had given me grace I could never repay. I'm so sorry it took me this long, I said. She reached over, took my hand. But you are here now. That is what matters. And she was right. I was here, fully here, not hiding, not performing, just present. A few weeks later, I felt something stirring in my chest. Not physical pain, but a spiritual weight, a burden. I kept thinking about what I had seen in that courtroom, about the men I knew who were making the same mistakes I had made. The marriages crumbling in silence, the wives praying alone, and I felt God pressing on my heart. Tell them, share what I showed you, warn them. I resisted at first, because sharing meant being vulnerable on a level I had never been before. It meant admitting publicly that I had failed, that I had almost destroyed my marriage, that I had been the problem, and my pride, even after everything, still wanted to protect my image. But Tanya saw me wrestling with it. What is going on? She asked one night. I told her about the burden, about feeling like I was supposed to share my testimony, about the fear that came with it. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, maybe someone needs to hear it. Maybe there's a man out there right now making the same mistakes you made. And maybe your story is the warning that saves his marriage. Her words settled something in me. Because she was right. This was not about me. It was about obedience. About using what God had shown me to help others. So I started sharing. First in my men's group, then at church. Then I recorded my testimony and posted it online. I did not sugarcoat it. Did not make myself look good. I told the truth. The whole truth. About the control. The secrets. The walls. The heart attack. The courtroom. The voice of Jesus. The second chance I did not deserve. And the response overwhelmed me. Men started reaching out. Dozens of them. Then hundreds. Messages. Emails. Phone calls. Men saying, "That is me. I'm doing exactly what you did. I have been hiding behind the excuse of being a provider while my wife is drowning." Wives reached out too. Women who had been praying for years for their husbands to change. Women who felt crazy for wanting partnership. Women who needed to know they were not alone. One man named David called me at 11 p.m. one night. He was sitting in his car outside his house. His wife had just asked him for a separation. He had found my testimony online and watched it twice. "I did not think it was that bad," he said, his voice shaking. "I thought I was doing the right thing, protecting her, providing. But I never let her in, and now she is done, and I do not know if I can fix it." I talked to him for an hour, shared what I had learned, told him it was not too late if he was willing to do the work. Real work. Told him about counseling, about vulnerability, about the difference between control and leadership. He cried, thanked me, said he was in a fight for his marriage. 3 months later, he emailed me. He and his wife were in counseling. It was hard, but they were making progress. And he said something I will never forget. "You saved my marriage. God used your story to wake me up before it was too late." I read that email to Tanya, and we both cried because we realized what the enemy meant for destruction, God had turned into purpose. Another woman named Michelle reached out. Her husband had been emotionally distant for 15 years. She had been praying, fasting, begging God to change him, and she was exhausted, ready to give up. She watched my testimony and sent it to her husband. He watched it, and something broke in him. He called me a week later, asked if I would mentor him, walk him through what I had learned. I said yes. We met every other week for coffee. I share my journey. He shared his. And slowly, he started applying the principles, started letting his wife in, started being vulnerable, started choosing partnership over control. His marriage started healing. And he told me later, "I did not know I was drowning until you showed me what breathing looked like." I met with pastors, marriage counselors, men's ministry leaders, share my story, warned them about the silent epidemic of emotionally unavailable husbands hiding behind the label of provider, about how trust is destroyed not just by affairs, but by secrecy, by silence, by walls built in the name of protection. And through it all, I kept learning, kept growing, kept being humbled by how much grace God had given me, how much mercy, how close I had come to losing everything. One evening, almost a year after my heart attack, Tanya and I were sitting on the couch. She was leaning against me, my arm around her. We were just present, together. No walls, no distance, just us. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if you had not come back?" she asked quietly. I thought about it, about the courtroom, the fire, the weight of covenant violated. "Yeah," I said. "I think about it a lot." "I do too." I kissed the top of her head. "I am sorry it took dying for me to start living." She turned to look at me, her eyes soft. "But you did come back, and you did change. That is what matters." And she was right. But I also knew not everyone gets a second chance. Not everyone gets pulled back from the edge. Not everyone gets to stand in that courtroom and then return to make it right. And that is why I share this story. Because if you're reading this, if you're listening to this, and you see yourself in my story, you still have time. You do not have to wait until your heart stops. You do not have to wait until your wife is packing her bags. You do not have to wait until it is too late. Your spouse cannot trust a man they do not know. And you cannot build a covenant on secrets you are too proud to confess. If you are hiding behind the excuse of being a provider while emotionally abandoning your wife, stop. If you're making decisions alone and calling it leadership, stop. If you are punishing your spouse with silence because vulnerability feels like weakness, stop. Because I'm telling you, as someone who almost lost everything, control is not strength. Vulnerability is. Partnership is not weakness. Pride is. Marriage is a covenant, not a contract, not a convenience. A covenant, made before the God who invented it. And he takes it seriously. He remembers your vows even when you forget them. He sees the walls you build even when you justify them. And he is patient, merciful, gracious. But he is also just, and covenant violation has weight. Consequences, not just in this life, but in eternity. I do not share this to scare you. I share this to wake you up, the same way I was woken up, before it was too late. If your wife is praying for you, if she is begging you to let her in, if she is crying alone while you pretend everything is fine, hear me. She is not your enemy. Your pride is. Your fear is. Your need for control is. And if you do not deal with it, it will destroy you both. Get help. Real help. Find a counselor, a mentor, a pastor, someone who will hold you accountable, someone who will not let you hide. Do the work. The hard, uncomfortable, humbling work of tearing down the walls you have spent years building. Let your spouse see you, the real you, the scared you, the broken you, the human you, and trust that love is strong enough to hold your weakness. Pray together, not performatively, but honestly. Invite God into your marriage. Let him be the center, the foundation, the source, because without him, you are building on sand. And if you're the one praying for a spouse who will not change, do not lose hope. Keep praying, keep believing, keep setting boundaries, but also know you cannot change them. Only God can. And sometimes, God uses rock bottom to wake people up. Do not enable, do not excuse, but do not give up on prayer. I look at my life now, at my marriage, at the intimacy we have rebuilt, and I am overwhelmed by grace. Undeserved, unearned, freely given. I did not deserve a second chance, but I got one, and I am not going to waste it. Tanya and I are not perfect. We still have hard days, hard conversations, moments where old wounds resurface and we have to work through them again. But we are together, really together, not two strangers under one roof, but two people choosing each other every single day, choosing vulnerability over walls, choosing partnership over control, choosing covenant over convenience. And if my story, my failure, my pride, my fall, my redemption, if any of it helps even one person choose differently, then it was worth it. Worth the humiliation, worth the vulnerability, worth standing before the world and saying, I was the problem, and God saved me from myself. So I will keep sharing, keep warning, keep pointing people back to the God who designed marriage to reflect his love for us, who takes covenant seriously, who offers grace but also demands holiness, who gives second chances but also holds us accountable. Because your marriage matters, your covenant matters, and the person you vowed to love, honor, and cherish, they matter. Do not wait until your heart stops to realize it. Do not make my mistake. Thank you for listening. Subscribe and watch the next testimony on your screen.